it's like a preview of the much larger lecture that I'm going to do on grids. I have seen some of you working with that zine project. You have an 8-page InDesign file. It's set, the page is set to 9 by 12, and it's set to facing pages. So this is where I am beginning. Before I do anything, so you can see I have some text. These are pretend images, and just say, hey, and by the way, because I want a little bit of space between my subhead and my body copy and my paragraph and my other paragraph, I am using, it's right here, type, paragraph. I am employing space below. That is what this control is. This is space above, this is space below. So if I grab these and I change this number, you see how I'm adding a little bit of air between them? This is how you show the eye, this is how you show the reader that this is one thing, this is another thing, this is a third thing. We're going to talk more about that. But what I would like you to try and avoid hitting the hard return key after a paragraph. For one thing, it's too much space, and for another, it's sloppy typesetting. So paragraph space. And there's a video in the InDesign video channel in Brightspace that talks a little bit about this. All right. What I want to talk about is the grid. So if we want to set a grid that will help us sort of put together the bones of this particular project, the best place to employ the grid is here on these parent pages. I'm going to come up and double click. So I'm on the parent pages. These pages can create a template for anything inside your document, and this will make sense in a minute. And put my finger on the shift key and grab both pages, parent page A. I'm going to go to layout. I'll start with margins and columns. Now, I think all of you have a 24-point margin, which in my opinion is a little thin. So I'm using 36 point, and as you can see, as I change this number, they all change together. That's because this is locked. There is no law that says you have to do this. If you unlock this though, then you can do the top separately, the bottom separately. If you want a lower drop on the top, a higher drop on the bottom, you want the inside to have a little bit more space. You do that sometimes if you have a lot of pages and you're worried that the binding will kind of cut off stuff. So just be aware. I'm going to do 36 inches. Now, again, I have both of these pages selected. I'm going to go back to layout and I'm going to go to ruler guides. I'm going to change my ruler guides. The ruler guides, the default is cyan. It's a little light. I'm going to change it to violet. So that's where I'll start. And then back to layout and I'll say create guides. So I am going to create a grid on this page. Now, I messed around with this a little before. I'm going to do 8 columns and 10 rows. And I'm going to keep you can see I have the preview button. So here these are. I'm going to make this gutter. We call this space between things the gutter. I'm going to make a nice, generous gutter. And I'm going to make sure that I fit the guides to the margin and not to the page. Margins. Because I want everything inside the margins. In other words, nothing out here that matters. I know you can see these lines, but it's actually measuring, the measurement starts from here to here. All right, so this is a grid. And you say to me, wow, this is chaotic. I don't know if I can work this way. And I say, give it a minute. And I also say, here's my toolbox. This is the normal view. This is the preview view. If these lines start to get you down and you say, I can't work this way, just come and press this button and they'll go away. But the beauty of this, if I go to page 1, first of all, because I put the grid on the parent pages, they are on every page in the document. So I only have to set them one time. And if I go to this first page, so I have copy and I have images, the moment I start putting stuff onto this page using the grid, I start to add order to the chaos. Now I don't have to think about where does this go. Now I can worry about what images am I going to use? I can move stuff around. Let's pretend this is a silhouetted object. Now, you don't have to be completely prescriptive in making everything fit to the grid. So for example, if I didn't want to change the size of this image, I could put it in the middle like this. There's nothing stopping me. But then when I switch this off, I think you can see how much less chaotic that looks. I'm going to move this one in here, and I'm going to move this one out here. The Instagram video that I put into the Slack channel, that very talented designer said it best. Grids are not a prison. Grids are a guide. And again, I'm going to come over here and turn this on. So I'll make that work here. And if I don't like that, that's fine. Snapping stuff to the grid allows me to work within a framework. It can be very daunting to work on a piece when you look at a blank page and say, well, I don't know where to put anything. Just give this a try, yeah? Give it a try and see what comes of it. And there are so many other rules that we can talk about, but I just want to get you used to the idea that the grid can help you in so many different ways. And then as I start to put things in, so this text it's 12 point, this is 14 point. Something I want to avoid, let me get this stuff out of the way for a second. Here's something I don't want to do. This, if I go from edge to edge, this is too wide of a measure, okay? This is difficult to read. There is a relationship between how wide the text box is and how large the type is. You want there to be between 12 and 15 words in a line. Now that's a very loosey-goosey rule, but watch. If I put my finger on the Option key and drag this down and make a copy, I'll put this one here. I think that's about as wide as I want to go with type this size. If I want to have type that goes from edge to edge, that has to be larger type. This is more the type size that I would use for a full measure of the grid. Just be aware as you're doing this that the most important thing is that it has to be readable. The type has to read. And so if I turn that off, see, that's much easier to read. One last thing I'll add is I'm going to go in and grab this. I'm going to come up here to paragraph. Again, I got this window here. Paragraph, not paragraph styles, paragraph. If I come in here, see how many hyphenations I have in the type in a row? I don't want that. So if I come in here, I can turn off hyphenations. I feel like that's a little better. We're going to talk more about ragging. We're going to talk more about grids. We're going to talk about design flow. But I just wanted to give you just this little introduction, this little flying introduction to working with grids. Grids are fundamental to good page design. They are the building blocks of every good page design, whether it's a web page or a brochure or liner notes for an album or an advertisement. The grid is the most important thing. Well, the first most important thing that you're going to work with. Just give it a try, okay? You let me know if you have questions.